Hi guys. Okay, so this is basically about my recent decision on FBA and also my new way of selling, which a few resellers do it, not so many, but basically with FBA, obviously I made a couple of videos recently showing this massive hoard of stuff that I was going to send into FBA, and it was mainly just to try it out, see how it worked, see if it was effective. But the problem that I'm having is there's just so much information out there on what you should sell on FBA, the sales ranks importance, the pricing importance, and everybody seems to have their own opinion on it. And for example, the stuff that I showed on FBA, judging by FBA, judging by how other people tend to price on FBA, all the information in that video was accurate in terms of looking on FBA or looking on Amazon at least and seeing what other people are pricing, what other people are trying to get, and pricing mine appropriately. Now, I had some people say, oh, good luck, let me know how it goes. I had some people say, you're never ever in a million years going to get that. So I was just had an email. Okay. So yeah, most people, to be honest, said, oh, you're never going to get that. You're trying to get £10 for something worth £2 on Amazon Merchant Fulfilled. So you think, well, yeah, but that's because I'll be the only FBA seller. And then they say, well, still £10. I mean, they may as well just buy it for two. So you're there thinking, well, that makes sense to me. To me, why would somebody spend £10 on something that's there for £2 from somebody else? But then you get the ones that say, well, hang on, the FBA users, or sorry, the Prime users, sometimes only buy from FBA users. So on that occasion, you'll be the only one there, and you're listed at £10, so they'll buy yours. I thought, well, okay, now that makes sense. Okay, so now I've got two sides of the story, both that make perfect sense. And then it got me thinking, well, I don't want to just aim for Prime members. That, to me, seems like you're limiting the field. That's not going to be a quick sale if you're aiming for Prime members. You're just hoping that somebody with Prime is going to log on, want it the next day, tick, don't show me anything else other than Prime, and bam, there I am for £10. And then, of course, you're also hoping that they're willing to spend £10 on that. All because somebody has spent £70 for a year's access of Prime doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to overspend on everything else. So I'm there thinking, okay, so now I've got two sides here. If I go on FBA and price it the way I was going to, then they're going to be on there for a long, long time. And the problem with that with FBA is, of course, every single month you're going to rack up storage fees. So on items that really I was only going to bring back £4 to £5 profit, that profit's very, very slowly going to dwindle down anyway due to storage fees. I've obviously also got the fees of sending it into Amazon in the first place, because that comes out of my pocket too first. And so so I decided that a lot of the items that are going to be there for a long time there's no point in sending it into FBA. I'm not doing this to make money next year or to make money in 4 months' time. I'm in this to make money now. And there's a lot of people with a lot of great stock that can afford to send their stuff into FBA, and even if it takes a year to get 60 quid for this board game that's going for 20 everywhere else, it's fine for them, because they kind of just send it in and forget. But of course, you've still got that year's worth of storage fees on that, so that has to come out. Amazon's fees have to come out. The FBA fee has to come out, of course, because you get the selling fee and the FBA fee, and all that kind of stuff is all in there. So I decided that, okay, there's two ways of really making money through FBA. One is to price your stuff fairly cheaply so it sells very quickly. Now obviously the issue with that is you don't really need FBA to do that option. You can do that merchant fulfilled quite happily. The whole point of FBA is really for two reasons. There's to clear stock out your room or out of your storage, your own personal storage, or out your shed or your garage or wherever you're keeping your stock. You can clear a whole batch of stock in one go, and it goes to their warehouses, their distribution centers. And the other reason is to get a higher value out of your items. So the reason to do that, the higher valued items will sit there for a little bit longer than the lower value ones, because you're hoping, like I said, that's going to be someone who only wants to buy FBA at that price who wants it the next day. And so it's going to be there a little bit longer. Now, I don't like long-winded sales. I don't like, I mean, even stuff like this, which I described in my last video, that's been sitting there for like 5-6 months. I just want that gone. I want that out the door. I want it out the door within a week. That's how I like to do things. So, you have that side of making money, but they're items that sit there for a long time. Okay, you send in, say, 50 items. You may sell 1 or 2 in the first week, and then maybe another 4 will go in the next maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then maybe another 2 will go in the next month or 2. But you get top dollar for it, so that's fine. It's called, in America they call it the long dime, because yes, you get your money, but it takes a long time to get it. And the other way of making money on FBA very quickly is to aim for those real top items, those top products. And recently I watched Tez Nutkins. If you haven't seen him, check him out. He's great videos, great pickups. He's a reseller I love watching. And basically he made a 2-part video explaining his strategy on how to really maximize your profits on Amazon while getting quick returns. And it's great and it works. It's a good plan and it works. And I know he said that it wasn't his plan. He read an article and he kind of brought it into video form for us UK resellers. But either way, regardless, it's a great plan and it works. But the downside to that is if you're aiming for real top quality items that are high ranked and selling by the bucket load every week, you're going to be competing with a lot of people. Okay, a hell of a lot of people. Let's say, for example, this is just an Xbox One pad, right? But let's just pretend that this is a real top quality, sells like 500 a week item. Now, you might be able to find one of these in the charity shop or boot sales. You might be able to find 2 or 3. Brand new, sealed, you can send into FBA. And that's great. You buy it for £2 or £3 and you sell it for, I don't know, maybe 18, 20 pounds, right? And that's great. It's good money all day long. However, you're not going to find many of these at boot sales, brand new and sealed. You're not going to find many in charity shops, if at all. You're going to have to do bulk purchases, auctions, wholesaling, etc. And that's fine, okay? If you contact a wholesalers and said, hey, you know what, I want to buy 100 of these. I'm going to buy 100. Now, for a UK reseller, well, not just a UK, but for your standard everyday reseller, buying 100 of these is still quite a tall order, but it's doable, okay? So let's say they said, well, okay, because you're buying bulk, because you're buying 100, we'll let you have them for £10 each, okay? So you can have them for £10 each, they sell for 20, brilliant. No problem, you're doubling your money. But then, of course, here's the issue. You buy for £10 each. You put them on Amazon for, say, 20. You suddenly notice that someone's putting them on for 19 on FBA, and you think, okay, and they've got a lot of them. They've got like 500 of these at £19, and you think, well, I'm never going to get a look in. These are going to be there for a long time. So I know what I'll do. I'll drop them down to 18. You know, I bought them for 10. I'm going to sell them for 18. Even if I only make, I don't know, maybe £4 or £5 profit per sale. I bought 100 of these, so it's going to be good money for me. It's going to be £400 or £500 in a week profit, easy. But then, of course, you notice the other guy lower his to £17, and you're there thinking, Okay, you know what? I'm going to put mine to £16. I don't care if I only make £3 profit on these because I'm going to sell all my 100 in a week. He then lowers his to £14. And you think, this is getting ridiculous. Now it's getting to the point where I bought them. And the reason for that is if you manage to find an item on Amazon that is selling by the bucket load, because let's be honest here, with FBA, the people that are making real top money are selling hundreds, sometimes thousands of units over the course of a month. Okay, that's what they have invested into that stock. There's a lot of money that goes into Amazon FBA stock when you're selling a great large quantity of stuff every week or every month, and enough to say, wow, I've really made a killing on Amazon. Forget eBay, I'm going to concentrate on Amazon. You have to put a lot more money into your stock because Amazon want top quality stock. They don't want one of these unboxed scratches, because you're not going to get £20 for that if everybody else is selling them brand new for 20. You'll be lucky to get 14, in which case, you're not going to wholesale broken, scratched up ones anyway. So you'll be then back to having to find them in charity shops. So here's the issue, right? You're there thinking, right, so my competition are now selling 500 at £14. I've got 100, and I can't really afford to go down to £14 because then I'll be making like £1 per one. I've spent what, £1,000 on these, and now suddenly I'm only going to make 400 profit. So what's the point? What's the point in doing this? So, and the reason they do that is because if it's an item, like I was saying, if it's an item that sells by the bucket loads and the sales rank is amazing, there are going to be companies out there with far deeper pockets and far better connections and contacts than we have. So they can walk up to the same company who charged you £10 for 100 and say, I want 1,000 of these, and I want them at £2 each. And that contact, that supplier will say yes, because who's going to turn down Asda or Argos or probably Amazon themselves are going to sell an item like that, so you could be competing with them as well. There are so many, Currys, Dixon's, or not so much Dixon's, but PC World, they all kind of sell on Amazon, not necessarily under their own name, but they all sell on Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon under different names. And a good example is, have you ever been on Amazon and you've searched for a DVD or a game, not so much books, but mainly DVDs or games, and you've seen the cheapest person on there is a company called Zolverstocks. Now I'm sure if you haven't seen them, go check out some, just type in a random DVD name and see if they're listed there. They're usually the cheapest, not always, but they're usually the cheapest. Zolverstocks are arguably one of the biggest second-hand resellers on Amazon, and they also, I believe, they also sold on play.com. Now it's more of a marketplace. Zolverstocks sell there as well. Now, for those of you that don't know, Zolverstocks is actually the resale division of Music Magpie. So whenever you send in your CDs, your DVDs, your games into Music Magpie, and they give you 10 pence, 20 pence for it, they then resell it as Zolverstocks for £1 or £2. That's why they're always the cheapest, but they know they'll treble their money because they only gave you 10 pence for it in the first place. So there's a lot of these big companies that do this, and they sell under different names. So they may not seem like a big company who's selling, but they've got the power of PC World or Asda or Argos behind them selling on this. You're not going to be able to compete with that, because if they're buying 1,000 of these items at £2 each, and they can afford to go down to 7 or 8 quid and still make a ton of money. That's now cheaper than what you paid for them at wholesale cost. So that's one of the big problems with FBA is, yes, you have to pick those real top quality items and get them on a regular basis to make a lot of money. But you're competing with literally the world's biggest corporations because they're going to buy the best items. They're not going to buy items that are ranked 400,000. They're going to buy items ranked in the top probably 10 or 20 because they've got the financial clout to do it. So unless you've got deep pockets, you're not going to make a ton of cash on FBA. If you feel I'm wrong, put it in the comments. Say I'm wrong. Say why I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll put my hands up and say fair enough. But from what I've seen of the real big FBA sellers, these guys are spending thousands a week on stock because they're going to get their thousands back, but they're going to also run out very quickly. So it's a constant stream of wholesaling. And they're not necessarily going for items that are like top 10, top 20, top 30. They're going for items that are slightly out. Enough out that the big corporations don't really care about them anymore. Things like Skylanders. The real big companies, they're not really that fussed about Skylanders at the moment. A lot of them are selling them on cheap and on sale. That's great because people like us can buy them and then sell them on Amazon for a quick flip. But the big companies aren't involved in that. Once they are, you ain't going to sell yours because they're going to have theirs cheapest on FBA and they're going to have thousands of them. So they're not going to run out. Some people you think, well, he's only got 2. So once he's sold his, then mine will be the next and I can sell mine. That's great. But if you're dealing with a company that has like 500,000 of these items, you're never going to get a look in. So that's my main issue with FBA. And for those of you that think you can just send in your gear and you're going to make thousands, ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. At least not in the way you expect it to. So anyway, I don't do FBA. I do sell on Amazon. I do sell on eBay, but I do merchant fulfilled on Amazon. And my main reason for not selling on Amazon isn't so much the FBA is not so much because of the amount of money you have to shove in to get a real full-time return out of it. But to be honest, it's just not as fun for me. I spent a long time in an environment where everything was just so linear and everything, it was repetition every day, the same stuff, the same screens I had to look at, the same numbers, and it just got so boring. And with Amazon, it's just such a boring process. You walk into a store and you see one of these and you go up, oh, let's scan that. Goes for £20. They're selling it for £6. I'll buy up all of them, send them into FBA. Where's the fun in that? It's if you do FBA as well as eBay, or if you do FBA as well as other stuff, fine. But I mean, as a whole business, I could never live like that. Every single day, just numbing up to buy like 20 or 30 of the same item. It's just so boring. Where's that excitement to get up and out and find stuff and find rare stuff and unique stuff? Like with me when I picked up Escape from Colditz and when I picked up the Nike Shop boots, it's a great feeling when you see this weird item and you're looking around it and you're thinking, do I go for it? Is there anything in it? I'll take it home and have a look. I don't scan anything when I'm out. I don't scan a single thing. I buy it on pure knowledge or gut feeling. I get it home. I then check it out on eBay. Bingo. Or that was rubbish. That's so much fun for me to do that. So that's really why I don't do FBA. And I've had a few people message me on Facebook asking me why don't I update FBA sales, and well, the fact is I don't do FBA. You've seen from my last sales video that I do sell on Amazon. That's not a problem. I do merchant fulfilled, and people are happy to buy off me. I dispatch the same day, just like I would eBay. Sometimes eBay I'll dispatch the next day if it's late on. Something like now, it's almost 6 o'clock, so I wouldn't go out now to post. I'd just queue it up for tomorrow. But yeah, so I hope that answers all your questions, and I don't want this to be a too long video. So the next thing I want to talk about very, very quickly is what I do now when I sell. I've adopted a new strategy, and for those of you that seen Golden Finger Picker, he's a US reseller. His name's Chad. What I kind of adopted his way of selling, which is a very, very quick flip, quick turnaround, churn and burn, buy it, list it, get it out the door. And the only way you can really do that is by underselling. So a good example would be, once again, the Escape from Colditz. Now that sells for up to £38 quite happily. 34, 38, you can get it quite easy. But I'm going to list that for $29.99 because I want to put a really good quality product for a price that a lot of people won't turn down. Now, you get people that say, well, hang on, if I sell that for $29.99 or even, let's say, 28, okay, £28 exact. If I sold that for £28, there are people that would say, you've just lost £10. You sold it for 28, he sold it for 38. You just lost £10. No, I haven't, because I never had that £10 in the first place. I haven't lost £10. I've gained 28. That's how you have to see it. Now, of course, the game cost me $2.50. There was a couple of missing cards, so I managed to find them on eBay for 99p each. Just round it up to £1 each. So I spent really £4.50. Okay, so if I sold it for 28, I'd be making £23.50. Now, yes, the other person is going to make more money, but it's going to take that person longer to sell that item. Mine, I can list, and it will most probably be gone within a week. Or actually, to be honest, that kind of game in complete condition, $29.99, that's probably going to be gone maybe in a couple of days. So I've listed it, and within 2 or 3 days, it's £30 back into my cash flow, ready to go out and buy more games. Whereas the guy who's listing it for 38, I mean, there's people on eBay listing it for over £50. And good luck to them if they get it. And you know what? They probably will. But it's going to take a long, long, long time. I don't have that time. I don't have that patience to have 50 quid or 45 or 40 just tied up on, you know, some virtual website somewhere when it could be in my wallet and me spending it on other items. I would take £30. I'll take 28. To be honest, I would take 25 or even 20 for Escape from Colditz because I paid so little for it. It's just a case of getting it on, selling it, taking the money and buying something else. And that's how you expand your business. Cash flow expands your business. It's great if you can get top money for everything, but you can't always do that. And I'd rather sell quick and then move on to the next thing. It means you don't have to store so many items. You know, if you're one of these people that demand the best price for all of your items, then prepare to have a lot of stuff stored in your shed or your garage or house, whatever you keep it. It may look like I have a lot, but really it's only one shelf and just that hanging there because I thought I'd sold it and he hasn't paid yet. But yeah, so it's not really that much when you think about it. It's just a few bits up there, one shelf, there's some shirts there, and there's some Scooby-Doo stuff and bundles and toys and stuff. But it's not that much really when you look at it. So so yeah, so that's me. That's my stance on FBA. It's my choice to now change my business plan, and I've done that. And I mean, you saw my sales. I sold like 6 of those items as soon as I changed up my business plan. I sold like 6 in a day. Yes, it's because I'm cheaper than everybody else, but I'm also making good money and I'm making good profit on everything that I've sold, and that's what matters. So yeah, so that's that. I'm not going to keep it any longer. Thanks for watching, and I hope some of you have taken something out of this. If you feel I'm wrong, put it in the comments. If you feel I'm wrong, you can downvote, but I'd rather you put it in a comment form, because then I know what your issue is rather than just you didn't like it. You know, if you say, oh, I didn't like it and this is why, great, because then I can help to, you know, I can try and change that. But so anyway, thanks for watching. I'm gonna chill out for a bit, and yeah, I hope you guys have a very good evening. Cheers.